Hello, Betty Graham. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, Betty Gales.
And I told you a long time ago, I had my first husband's last name was Graham, so we had the same name for a little bit of time.
I hope I'm going to live up to your name.
Well, Betty, it is an honor and a privilege to have you today talking with me, and I have just been so inspired by you and your wisdom, your charm, your grace ever since I met you. And I said it's been 10 years ago, and I was just thinking, how long ago was it that you started coaching for Tom?
2015.
Yeah. And so I think you were right before I started, you started. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I
Well,
remember that
thank you, Betty.
mastermind.
I have always admired you. So we have a little club thing going on. I know
Thank you.
you're so sophisticated, and the way you are, the way you move, I've always admired you.
Oh, thank you
Thank
so
you for
much,
it.
Dawn, so much. Well, I enjoyed listening to your latest interview, and it was really inspiring. It was really, she didn't hold any, I mean, she just went right to ask you every personal question she could ask, didn't she?
It was kind of strange, wasn't it?
This is Malin for people who don't know, and she is, Betty just did an interview with her. She's the Nordic Body, and the podcast was Age and Attitude, and it was so refreshing, and the questions that she asked, and your honesty, and just talking about everything was really inspiring. Did you enjoy the interview?
Yeah, I kind of did. I thought I was a little amped, but it is what it is.
No, no, not at all, not at all. And then I remember the first time I heard you speak on stage with Debbie and Wire, and you told your story, and I was just absolutely fascinated with everything about your story and the way that you delivered it to the audience. You're a natural born speaker and entertainer as well.
Well, it's not something that comes easy, I'll tell you that. I went to UCLA and took a speech class, because I was going to be the president of the Malibu Board of Realtors, and I was terrified. And so our buddy, Mr. Carson, said to me, "Oh, that's nothing. You just stand up and talk to him. You don't make a speech. You stand up and
Yeah,
talk to him."
exactly. Like you're just speaking to someone out there. I know I have had stage fright. I always have stage fright, even to this day. I have stage fright. Yeah. Um, so I wanted to talk to you to start, if you would just kind of give us an overview of what you're doing these days. Like I know you're coaching, of course, for Tom, but tell us more about just what in general you're doing.
Oh, well, so I'm Betty Graham, and I sell real estate in a section of Los Angeles called Citrus City. It's adjacent to Beverly Hills. My office is in Beverly Hills. I It's an office that I managed for a dozen years, so I just leave my license there. So I sell real estate because it's fun, isn't it, Betty? Isn't it so much fun? I mean,
If you have the people, if you can choose who you work with, right?
right. That's right. That's right. And so I coach 17 clients in the morning for Tom Ferry, and I do that because Tom Ferry is on the cutting edge, and I want to be there too,
Yeah,
right?
I
So
know. I know.
I love coaching. I learn so much, and so I coach in the morning, and I sell a few properties in the afternoon.
That sounds like a great way to be. Like, for me, people would keep saying, "Well, Betty, when are you going to retire?" And I'm thinking, like, never. I mean, I love what I do. So I would kind of be lost without something to do. Do you feel that way?
Oh, I tried to retire. It just didn't work for me. I felt irrelevant in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. Yeah. Because both you and I have worked our whole lives, right?
Yes, Betty. Yes,
Yeah.
So, you know, when you got that muscle going, it doesn't want to stop, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, but I'm proud of it, and I love. I mean, the biggest thing that I love right now is growing and learning new things. And I think, like you said, with Tom, there's, you know, you're going to be put in that environment. You have to.
Yeah, that's right. And you learn from the people you work with, don't you?
for for sure. That is definitely true. Now, let me ask you. They say that you have been a luxury agent, and or not they say, but I know you've been a luxury agent. And has that always been the case? And have you been in real estate your whole career?
Oh, have I been in real estate my whole career? Gracious, no. And I certainly, well, luxury, I guess I did started in Malibu. So by, you know, virtue of location, excuse me, yes, I guess I was in a luxury market from the get-go.
So I know that you talked, and I've heard you speak about this before, about your upbringing. And many people think, well, you know, to be in the luxury market, you have to grow up with people that are affluent. You have to have that background. Is that true for you? Tell us about your background.
Wow. I would be in real trouble if that were true for me. I was raised on a cotton farm in the South. I was one of 8 children, right? We kids all worked on the farm, chopping cotton in the springtime, picking cotton in the fall. Our school semesters were timed for what the farmers needed there, you know. But what would happen is the crops would fail very often because we were there right beside the Mississippi River. Sometimes there would be flooding from too much rain. Sometimes there would be too much sun and the crops would be just planted and dry out. So uh, to make ends meet, my father, my daddy, right, he would go off and work in the coal mine. So I was a coal miner's daughter as well as a farmer's daughter. But he had this little 100-acre piece of ground. And the wild thing is that in all of it, even though there were some very impoverished times, we never felt poor. We didn't feel poor because we had milk and butter from the cow, right? We had bacon and pork chops from the pigs that my dad was slaughtered. And we had, you know, the fish my mother caught on the ditch bank there. And we had watermelon and cantaloupes and things she grew and fresh veggies and berries and walnuts and pecans. So we may have been poor, but we didn't know it. You know?
I
She would
love that.
wring a chicken's neck every Sunday and go cook it for us. You know?
So I remember from your interview before that you were sort of in the middle of your siblings, like with uh, guys on each side. Is that true? Or
And the firstborn was female. The lastborn was female. Yeah, so yeah, I was in the middle of these 5 boys, and I think that, you know, fighting for my own stature with them has probably contributed to my inner what drives me. You know.
got it.
Uh,
So do you have a competitive nature?
oh, I guess I do. I mean, I frankly, I say that, and yet I never fought. I maybe fought for a listing, like I want to be the best, I want to get this, I want my marketing to be most attractive and so on. But in terms of fighting for position, like I never felt people asked me to, you know, be the manager. I never thought I wanted to be a manager. I never knew I would have any uh, presence or ability or talent in that direction. But they, I guess, saw what I didn't know about. And so, like, I was at John Douglas, and he said, "You're a very good agent. So would you manage the office?" Right, Malibu, right? So I did, and then I married, and we left Malibu and moved to San Francisco, and I opened John Douglas up there for him. So now I'm a VP. I'm not just a manager, right? So it's the way it kind of grew. Um, so for me, it's just like, oh my God, I lived in a labor camp when I was 15 to 18 till I got out of high school. And what a surprise to be asked to do these things, to be
Well,
the
did you think
manager.
when you were growing up, did you think, oh, I want to be a realtor, or did you have an aspiration to do
Had
that?
no idea about that. Although um, we left the labor camp because my father got a job and they bought a little house out in the middle of this tiny little village called Lost Hills, right in the San Joaquin Valley of California. But we had come to California with everything on top of the car, right, to go to California, like John Steinbeck. So he bought a piece of ground with a house
Uh-huh.
on it, and that was my first ownership, and so
Hmm.
that was kind of interesting. And then later, when when my husband and I were buying houses and selling houses, I was able to watch the job of the brokers, and they made it look so easy. I didn't have any idea what was behind all of that effort. But so when I got a divorce, I did what many divorcees of the era did. I got a real estate license.
That's the truth. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So back then, like you got your real estate license, were you immediately successful there?
I was, because I was married to a film television director. And so when you're working in the film industry, it's kind of a stick together thing. They like to refer business. Oh, Betty, she's good. She helped us. And that's what a real estate agent dreams of, is being
Uh-huh.
referred business. So you have to earn it, of course. You have to have built. I was able to have been a photographer on the set for sometimes for my husband's films, so that I had working relationships with a lot of the people that he worked with. And so that gave me a springboard. And since I was in Malibu, it it worked out,
So
very.
how did you meet your husband and all these movie stars? We're going to talk about Johnny Carson. How did you meet all of them? You just came right into the Malibu area and met all these people. How'd you do it?
No, I guess with Johnny, I was 18 and he was 29. Actually, I was 18 when I got out of high school. I was 19 by the time I met him, and he was 10 years older. He was 29. And I worked at CBS television. I got a job there because my secretarial skills were very good. And thank you, Wasco Union High, right? So, uh, yeah, so the personnel department, they called it the secretarial pool, sent me
Uh-huh.
to be Mr. Carson's assistant, personal assistant. He
Wow.
had a local television show then in Los Angeles,
So
and
he
so
wasn't famous then when you met him.
no, he was famous to us here in LA because he was a very funny guy and had a show, and but then when he moved to New York to do Who Do You Trust, which was before
Oh
the
yeah, I remember that well. Yeah.
remember that show?
Oh yeah.
So he asked me if I would be his assistant and come to New York. And I remember Ed McMahon called me for him to say, Johnny would like you to, so, wow. So I said yes. And then the cinematographer I was dating at the time said, no, 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 you're not going to New York. We're getting married, So now I'm going for my next marriage, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I didn't go to New York, and we did get married, but Johnny and I, we did stay in touch over in and out of our mutual marriages and divorces.
Wow. And so like how did you reconnect with him and get involved with selling his I know you sold his home at one point. How did all that come about?
Well, oh, we never. we never disconnected.
Oh,
We
right. You were still in
always,
touch
yeah.
with each other over
So
the
he
years.
was
Yeah.
just always supportive. And that's the thing about him. I think if I were to describe him, I would say what was important to him was loyalty and discretion, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, he was supportive of me. He loved to call me Madam President when I became president of the Malibu Board of Realtors. He got such a kick out of that. And then again,
What was he
yeah,
really like? I heard he was shy.
yeah, he was a quiet person, except when he was on stage. He was very, very private. I would say he was probably selective, private, very
Hmm.
almost sentimental, to not how somebody would normally think of Johnny, but because he asked me to accept an award he was giving because he didn't want to be on this charitable organization. I wanted to honor him, and they happened to be honoring me simultaneously. So it was. He said, "I tell you what." And we didn't know that, when I was, and then when he learned that, he said, "I tell you what, if you will accept the award on my behalf, I will let them do this thing." Because for them, it was good because his name would raise money and so on.
Uh-huh.
So I did. I accepted his award. I accepted my award, and it was fun. It was a moment for me. It really was. But I think that sentimentality is, he did that out of a great generosity of heart, I felt.
Hmm.
So I did 6 or 7 transactions with him, and he
Oh,
referred
just
to
like
my
when he would buy and sell his properties.
lifestyle. Yeah, right. He lived on Carbon Beach, and he had 2 houses there side by side. He didn't want anybody living beside him, so he bought this house.
Did he
So,
let you handle it or did he tell you what to do?
oh no, no, he totally let me handle it.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah. I tell you a little story. He did have, he was he valued discretion, let's say it
Hmm.
that way. And he would be offended if anybody crossed over the line. So um I had the listing on his house, showed it to John McEnroe, and who was the girl that he was married to, that was Ryan O'Neal's daughter, Tatum O'Neal. So
Oh, uh-huh.
yeah, so and they were, wanted to buy it. We put it into escrow, and then I get a phone call from the LA Times, like gossip columnist for real estate. And she said, "I hear you have a transaction with Mr. Carson and that there's a special clause." I said, "Oh my God, please do not print that." She said, "Oh, it's already in the papers. Mr. McEnroe told a reporter in Paris all about it, a sports reporter." And so then I said, "Well, please let me call Mr. Carson first," which I did. And he said, "I think it's a cute story. Go ahead and use it." Had I not
Oh,
called him, what the story was that if Mr. Carson would not sell Mr. McEnroe his house unless Mr. McEnroe gave him 6 private tennis lessons.
I love that. I love it.
But discretion. You think that if I hadn't made that call, he would have been upset with me? It might have lost a friend forever.
Yeah, just the fact that you asked for permission for that, that's fantastic. Well, before we shift into coaching, let me ask you, were there any other very memorable experiences that you could share in your real estate career? You don't have to name names or anything, but anything unusual or exciting or something that our listeners would love to hear about?
Well, let me see. I was thinking, and I think I can say this because it was so many years ago, so many years ago. I sold a house to Madonna and Sean Penn. It was their
Wow.
home, and she had previewed with me. She had previewed the home with me the day before, then she wanted to bring Sean to see it. And I was there waiting for them in a pickup truck the next morning. A pickup truck drives up and she's sitting, you know how there's like 3 seats in the front, room for 3
Mhm,
people.
mhm.
She's right up against him. He's at the wheel and she's right, just like 15 years old on the farm. I just went right back there. And I just thought it was so tender, a lovely tender moment. And
Ah,
very,
ah, that was exciting. So
yes.
let me ask you, do luxury agents, do they have to wear designer clothes and look the part? And when you met all of those movie stars, what do you think? What did they think? What were you nervous about it?
Part. You know what? I think I think that it's how are you going to afford to look like them? They make millions of dollars, and you're out there hoping to make 2.5%, 3%, right? And, so no, I think that you're not in their world. You work for them, and what they want from you is luxury service. They
Mhm.
appreciate an agent who knows the inventory. They don't have time to know all that. And history of the home and stuff like that. That's what's in, I think. And as far as and helping them and all luxury people, not
Mhm.
celebrities, everybody,
Yeah,
have, you know, help them clarify what their needs are and wants. Because sometimes there's a confusion there or a lack of clarity and so, but I think they, generally speaking, the luxury clients, they do like inside information. They enjoy. That's
mhm,
why I think a lot of them are attracted to off market properties. You know, uh,
exactly.
but
Yeah.
as to the dressing the part and paying for designer clothes, I think it's important to educate our eye so that we know the look of different designers and so on, different cars and different finishes in a home. What this particular wallpaper, how it and if what this wall covering, what this these handles are, all the thing, the stone on the floor, the kind of wood, all of that, I think, is appreciated. It's to know that you have an eye, and that
Mhm.
gives them confidence. And even if it's their choice of a vehicle, admire it, or an outfit or their sunglasses, and so you can appreciate without having to have an equal. But your own car should be immaculate, whatever, right?
I
Don't
wish
you
they'd
agree,
ask me on the $1 million listing agent. Like, you should be on the $1 million listing agent.
man? No,
That
no,
wouldn't that
no.
be cool?
Oh, that would not be cool. I wouldn't
Oh,
like.
I think it would. I could see you right there.
You're funny. You're asking me all these questions, and you know the answers, and you do it yourself. You have a fabulous reputation and a fine, fine history. And
Oh, thank you,
but
Betty. Thank you,
you've
thank you.
coached so many agents to success, and I'm honored that you called and wanted to talk to me.
Oh, thank you. Let's shift then um, into your coaching career. So it was about 10 years ago. And I know you coached over, it wasn't like this was a new experience because you were the leader of your office and you'd been a leader in the community for so long. But when you went into coaching, was there anything that you felt when you first started that's changed now about the way you coach people?
Well, let me see. Um, what has changed? I guess you certainly learn so much when you're coaching people. I mean, that's why I didn't want to retire. I wanted to continue
Mhm.
to expand myself. And you expand when you're coaching, because you get to hear, you learn so much. You learn about what's in their head. you know, what's important to them. And that way it's no different than a client, you know, a client to purchase or sell. But is to understand the agents that you're working with, what stops them, what inhibits them, you know, what is it that, and not all of them, their primary need may not be to earn more money. It may be to continually perform, but to do it without stress, you know, and that may be, maybe they have an illness and they want to work, but they can't, you know, they stress is, and you have to try and keep stress out of their life, I think is of value and in the coaching relationship. But mostly it's about helping them overcome their own barriers, you know, and recognizing what they are. Don't you find, Betty?
Definitely. And I was thinking for you, and I don't know where I heard this, but like one of your superpowers is intuition. And that you're so, you know, such a natural, when people you coach or when you're talking with someone, you sort of can understand them. And sometimes what they say they want and what they don't want is, or what they actually want are different, right?
Yes, and in that way, I do think that we are professional clarifiers. Have you, Phil Jones, he's a wonderful,
Yeah.
I just love Phil Jones' work. And I'm sure that all of the people that you work with and coach with have been introduced to him too.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
He does help get into people's head by questions, you know, just helping them see the answer themselves by your questions.
Now you mentioned you coach, I think you said what, 18 or so agents, something like that?
Yeah.
And are they all agents that aspire to get into luxury or in luxury? Is that your niche or?
Yeah, most of them are in luxury, you know, because of the location. But
Mhm.
that's the other thing is luxury in one area is not luxury in another, right? So
Exactly.
you don't, it's not that you're just dealing with fancy people, you know, and
Right.
but you're dealing with what, you know, whatever people's, as far as helping an agent to grow, um, mostly, don't you find it's that they're just not staying in touch with their past clients enough?
I mean, that's true for anybody, right? Luxury, any
That's
client.
right. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
right. In
And
every
sometimes they may feel intimidated, especially if it is a luxury client, that they might be bothering them or intruding or that they won't, you know.
Yeah, that's right. And I think they feel that about many clients, you know, that they have a terrible fear of being thought of as a salesman, being
Exactly.
salesy, which, you
Yeah.
know, when in fact, I think if they instead could think what is true, that they're an expert and that the client they're busy with their own life and their own business. They don't have time to know what it is in real estate. And so to help an agent understand that he has a duty, he or she has a duty, a responsibility to their clients to stay in close touch, to make the phone calls, to, you know, to tell them the truth of what's going on in their street, you know, to keep them abreast of the market. It is a gift. A real estate agent has the opportunity to give and to always consider that you're coming from contribution as opposed to the worry about being salesy. You know, it is, I think, very freeing to an agent if they can get to, the little voice will come back. The little voice will come back, and you and I will always replay it for them, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Help them to
You know,
remember.
you did a seminar a while back on breaking into the luxury market and you know what people so many people are intimidated. Are there a couple pieces of advice that you have for people that think they want to raise their point of their price point uh or trying to break into the luxury market? Do you have some advice for them?
You know, I think if an agent could think in terms of leadership and looking for opportunities to be a leader. And I don't, it may be at the Boy Scout Club. It may be at, in a animal rescue place. It may be at your church or your temple, or it may be at the golf club. I have a client who is the president of the women's golf club in the country club. And well, what a resource that is for her business. And she's also president of the Boys and Girls Club in a certain area, and she also is a co-chair for looking for beautiful homes to have decorative arts displays and events. So, it's leadership. It's being willing. Like, I had no idea that I could. I was just being a good salesman in Malibu when they asked me to be the manager. And so then I was just being a salesman, a good manager in San Francisco when I was, recruiting people to come to and all of that stuff. But that taking on the leadership, if any agent will look for the opportunity to contribute and to, I don't care if it's starting a mastermind group, be a leader, be a spokesman, let the world know what is wonderful to know. Take on a blog, to your past and future clients, to your entire database, to social media, but be perceived as a person who has something to give. Right. And then people think of you. Proximity in real estate. Most people are, at least let me say it this way, very often people make the decision about who to work with as a realtor by who they met last night, or who they got a note from today, or who I was thinking of you and called them this morning. And so proximity is so important. And so the more people an agent talks to, the more money he'll make. Right? Isn't that?
I love that. So it's not necessarily going so much to where the affluent people are, but to contribute and always have in mind that you are a leader and helping others to promote whatever they're trying to promote, or be whoever they're trying to be, and contribute to all of the things that they are important, right?
You're so, I think, 100% correct. It's about finding commonalities. You get in, if you go to pick up, and we do still pick up people and show them properties, even with the internet. What they've got on their mind, she may be a multi-million-dollar or a billionaire. She could easily be. And you pick her up in your little Mercedes or your little Volkswagen, whatever. And what she's got on her mind is how to lose 12 pounds, or how to
exactly,
or how to get her child into a better school, or how, to improve their soccer game. They have the same things on their mind that all moms have, right?
I love that. I love that. They're not paying attention so much to what you're like or what you do, but they're thinking about what's important to them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's, listening. That's the key to success, isn't it?
It totally is.
Yeah.
And coaching and working with people and asking questions and listening. To me, that's not work. That's just interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting to find out about people and to ask them questions, and that's not like work, right?
Oh, true. Asking them questions, getting connection, staying discreet, giving them information, being a contributor, and keeping it all in a vault. Right.
Got it. So do you have any plans for anything different, or will you continue coaching and continue selling real estate? I think before we started recording, we were both talking that we're we're not going to retire. We love what we do, right?
No, yeah. No, I tried to retire. It doesn't work for me. You know, it's not for me. So yeah, it's, you know, the thing about real estate is usually it's there, your money and emotions go hand in hand, right? And usually you're with them when they're spending the most, making the biggest investment of their life, or selling could be that same anyway. It's riding that ride with them when those emotional highs and lows is very fascinating. It's and to be the solidarity that they lean on. It's
Yeah. I remember Mike Ferry, Tom's dad, said one time, always be the calming influence.
yes, good word. It's so true, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
the calming influence. Yeah.
Sometimes that's not easy, is it, when they start
No.
going off the off the rails, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's true. But you know,
I had this guy that he is a friend of mine, and he just completely lost it and was going nuts, and just so upset. And then I just listened to him, and then at the end, I we just pretended like that didn't happen.
right.
It's just emotions and money go together. It's like a lot of
Yeah,
stress going
yeah,
on.
exactly.
Exactly. So,
You can,
any
I mean, a new agent coming into the business, they asking questions is, you know, asking people how they got to be successful, asking other agents, studying other agents, watching what they wear, watching what their website looks like. You know, I mean, as Tom Ferry says, rip off and duplicate, right? R&D.
right.
I mean, it's, and listen. Just, you know, I think focused listening, it's the most sincere, fundamental act of love,
Yeah,
right?
that is so true.
Isn't it?
Yes, it really is.
What
Talk
matters?
to us a little bit before I let you go about your personal life. I love the interview that you just did, and talking about working out and staying active. And tell us a little bit about that. And I know you're married, and I remember you talking about your husband always working out and always, thinking about his health. Tell us about how you're dealing with that now.
Uh, my husband isn't, you know, he's really a rock, and he's very inspiring, not just to me, but he's a financial advisor. So he works with a lot of people in very similar ways that we do. Um, and he's talk about being the calming influence. You know, it's that is inspiring to me. But you know, I don't always want to get up and go to the gym. I know I need to. I know I need to walk more, right? But not him. There's no self negotiation. He will work out every day. He either is on his Peloton because he's a cyclist from, but now he's I don't let him go into the street with the helmet even because it's too dangerous right now.
Mhm.
So he works on his Peloton 4 days a week, and he does mat work otherwise, and he does not miss it. He's very inspiring in that way. So
So
yeah,
that's his identity. Um,
it
that
is right.
that's who he is, right?
Yes, yes, it is.
Um,
You're
yeah,
definitely
I know Robert for me is like he is such a nag because not only does he work out, but he forces me to work.
yes.
So,
I know.
but
Well,
I think it's good. But every time he does it, I'm rolling my eyes. And like I might just come back from walking and he'll say something, and I'm proud of myself. And he'll say something like, well, we're going to walk again this afternoon. I said, walk again? Are you kidding? I'm just like,
yeah,
I'm proud of myself for walking, but he's like constantly, constantly on me, which is
yeah.
good because it's
I
not easy.
know. Well, you know, and you still wouldn't go if you weren't inspired. He does inspire you to get up and do it.
Yeah, sort of
Because
in a
you and I
back.
know that real estate, will take as much time as you'll give it. There is no beginning and end for real
No,
estate. It's
no,
24 hours if you would give it, and you'd wish you had more hours, right? That's why
exactly.
with agents, one of the key disciplines is getting them to time block their calendar and then respect that time block, right? I
Right.
mean,
So to me, something that's very,
soul
very,
as well.
I spent so many years on vacation with my cell phone and stress going on. And I've learned in the last 5 years, it's just been this recent, not to do that. Like I will not, let real estate take over my life like I used to. And that's what I tried to coach and help people do or still do. Like you said, just you need time for yourself.
Yeah, you need to feed your soul. I mean, it's primary, and that's why you look so pretty these 5 years. Terrific.
Oh, you too, baby doll, you too.
There's
So, well, I'm
there's more to
excited
life than
about
real estate. That's what we have to give up. We have to give it like an alcoholic, they have to realize they're helpless. We have to say, okay, it's kind of an addiction.
it
Being
is an
a real
addiction.
estate
Yeah,
agent, the
yeah.
high you get from selling. And so yeah, prospecting though, it's a word that is, it's tainted. I don't even like the word. I usually call it connection time. But a real estate agent just needs to connect with all the people they know, their sphere of influence. I know a real estate agent who is very, very successful, and she gets into her office at 9 in the morning, 5 days a week, and locks the door. Her assistant cannot access her. And all she's doing is in there calling her database,
Mm-hmm.
her sphere,
Yeah.
calling them, and she has a little notebook that she writes down what they talked about, and she rotates them. 2 hours she calls, and she does that 5 days a week. And whenever she sees it as important as going on a listing appointment or writing an offer, she's handling her pipeline, right? And
I
that's a discipline. Her calendar is time blocked, and that's respected. She,
That's a non-negotiable and it's
yeah,
something that she does. And it leads because if you stop doing that, then you're going to go through the cycles that people go through in real estate,
yeah, that's
um,
right.
no matter what. Yep. Well, Betty, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us, talk about before I let you go, my dear? It's
Well,
on
you know what?
5 o'clock here. We're 3 hour time difference.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking that with the affluent, it's not, affordability is not always and often is not the issue, that their decisions are made more around lifestyle. Don't you find, Betty? Uh, Lifestyle, emotions, convenience, security, privacy, pride of ownership. Decisions are often made at a visceral level. Does it feel right? And so I think that if an agent is mindful of that, I think that's a step forward. I think basically I have a really strong feeling that the work of a real estate agent is, I think they're the unsung heroes of the business world. They spec their time, they spec their money and their energy, never knowing when or if the payoff's going to come. And I think it's noble work that they do. And I think, yeah, I just think of more respect for the work of the realtor
Oh
is,
my gosh, isn't that the truth?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that I think is something that we want to be mindful of. I'm just looking at my notes to see if there was anything else. Just I think right now what we're sort of in a stage sort of that where it's very important to have for all realtors to have a of an awareness of business trends, right? Business trends, and that's the rates and the days on market and
Mm-hmm.
all the stock market, the global sort of economic awareness. because when the stock market gets wobbly, the wealthy kind of tend to get tight to preserve their positions, right? And capital, whether or not they are personally threatened, they just go into a freeze. So right now, what I am experiencing here is kind of the new normal is kind of being low spending, right? We're in an inflationary phase, and everybody doesn't know where the world is going and so on. But I think that recession fatigue does set in with high net worth people, and they have to get out there, and they got to start. It's hard for them to maintain the not spending environment. And so when the stock market is doing well, their animal spirits get going, right? And so it will come back. I remember when I was in Malibu at one point, we had a recessionary environment. I recall a joke was people standing out on the street on the Pacific Coast Highway with a sign that's saying, "I will sell your house for food."
Yeah.
But it is a joke, and no, we don't have to worry about that, I don't think. And I think that, you know what, you asked me important things to be considered, and I really do think that the earned trust between real estate agents is so critically important. We have such a relationship driven business, but it's not just with our clients, right, Betty? It's with other agents, and that,
especially now with everything that's going on.
Now, it's a delicate equity in a broker, the trust, earned trust. So I think that being mindful of that. And let's see, what else did you ask me that I
know I lost track of my question.
Oh, I know. You asked me sort of, I think, how I wanted to be remembered, or what my
yeah. Thank you.
I was thinking about that last night, and then I thought, oh wait, I know what it is. On my tombstone, what I wanted to say, she helped me.
Oh, Betty, I love that.
No, don't you think so, Betty?
Yeah. I mean,
give you a fulfillment.
What else is there, right?
Yeah, right. And my last comment is a quote. It was an anonymous. I read it somewhere. At God's footstool to confess, thou didst thy best. That is success.
I love it, baby doll. Love it. So good to see you. So great to see you. I know you're headed to the summit soon, right?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and let's talk again. All right.
Well, indeed. I'm going to interview you next time.
Love that.